Now I'll try to do for you what I needed, or at least what I felt I needed when I was trying to decide which Fujifilm to buy. I wanted something small, like to use it as an EDC, to take it with me everywhere, because my Panasonic is, although I'm very satisfied with it, with its qualities and features and quality of pictures and video, it's quite big, and it's the S5 Mark II. Okay. So I wanted something small, and I was deciding between the X-T10, X-T20, XS10, XE2, or XE3, although XE3 was a bit more expensive, the XS10 as well. So I wanted to have this Fuji experience with the manual dials, because like, it was interesting for me to try something like that. I decided to go with the X-T10. But before that, I was searching for in YouTube to find something like a deep dive in the menu, so I'm sure what functions it has and so on. And I couldn't find anything like that, which is at least partially what I wanted. So let's look at it right now. This is my X-T10. It's the silver one. Currently, I have mated it with the 25 TT Artisan f2.0, which is surprisingly good lens. And with this lens, which is almost a pancake, it's quite pocketable. I mean, it's pocketable in pockets of a big jacket or something like that, or maybe bigger cargo pants, or like a small bag. But let's see now. Now we can see the menu, because I think that there are enough videos which are showing the buttons and the functions of the buttons. So that's not what interests me currently, and maybe it doesn't interest you, because if you want to find that information for the X-T10, it's easily findable and available. So let's turn it on. Okay, no memory card. This is not bothering me. So here we have the display button. You can see exactly the information which is available with the display button. Just a second. So this is another screen which is showing all the information, and then a grid which I have turned on. It shows also the color profile, which currently is Velvia, or a recipe, if you want to say so. This is the picture quality, which is large and fine. This here I cannot see very well. This is the video quality. Well, the videos from this camera, I wouldn't say that they're good, so I will not. They're subpar. Then I'm in manual mode. I'm not sure what that is. The ISO is 6400 f0, because this lens does not have any electrical contact, so the camera doesn't know which lens is attached to it, or whether there is a lens or not. And then we do not see a reading of the shutter speed, because we need to press the shutter button first. I will show you right now. So when we half press, we see the reading based on the light which is going to the sensor, and then you will now see we are at f2. If we switch to f2.8, I'm not changing anything else. Let's focus, because this is the focus 8. If you press this button here, you see that it's a quick jump. It's a picture. It's not picture in picture, actually. It's zooming all the way, the whole screen. I'm not sure. I don't remember, and I'm not sure if you can make it picture in picture. But this is the peaking now, and you can see that the Dell logo of my monitor is now in focus. So I'll switch that off. If you have like better eyes than mine, you can see it without zooming, because here it is. You can see the change. It's way easier for me just to zoom in and then be sure. So we are at f2.8. Let's focus again. We see that the ISO is 640. It was, I think, 400 a minute ago, and the shutter speed is at 30. You change to 4. I missed the focus. Let's see. Now the ISO is 100 and the shutter speed is again at 30. So the shutters, maybe I have set minimum shutter speed. Let's see. I have programmed the front button to be for ISO. Yes. Now you see I'm using the Auto 3 setting of the ISO. I will use the right arrow to go and see the settings. You can see that I have set the minimum shutter speed at 1/30th of a second, and then the maximum sensitivity at 6400, and default is back to default is 200. So that's why the reading is the same. But as you know, being a Fujifilm, you have a quick access to like more settings. Now it's 1/15th of a second, which is not easy to do without some kind of stabilization. There is no stabilization currently because the camera does not have one, and the lens, of course, doesn't as well. But I have pretty steady hands, as well as I use my table to balance them, so I think that I'll be able to shoot at 1/15th of a second. For a comparison, a Micro Four Thirds camera having an IBIS, we will have no problem shooting at 1/15th of a second. So now you see the picture. It's quite sharp, I think. Maybe I can go below 1/15th, but that's not our point now. Let's continue with the video and settings. Now, going to the menu, just let my iPhone focus. So you can see that we have 5 positions here for shooting settings, and then we have the main camera settings, 3 screens, where here there are no additional menu. So this is everything that we can change here in this camera. Now let's start from the beginning. First we have autofocus settings. Let's see them. Focus area. We can change the focus area with the scroll, with the back scroll. Maybe with the front screw as well. Keep in mind that the screws on Fujifilms, because they're pressable, or I'm not sure there is such a word, but you can press them. That's why I said they're pressable. They do not change the setting on every turn. They somehow drop some turns. This is why some people are mentioning that they do not like to change the f number or the shutter speed with these dials because it's not enjoyable. This is why it's way better to have a lens with aperture ring, because actually it's a pain in, I will not tell you, I think you guess where the pain is. So let's go back then. Autofocus settings, focus area, and this is the area. Let's go back to the, we cannot go back to the menu with the back, so we should go, we should exit the menu itself, then go back, and then autofocus settings. After that, autofocus mode, it is now set to menu focus. Let's see here. Let's put it into single. I think that the continuous mode is not good on this camera, on this generation of Fujifilm, so I do not see a point to use it. If you use a autofocus lens, I think single will be okay for you. Then autofocus mode, let's see, single point, zone, and white tracking. This maybe should be used with continuous autofocus. Then zone and single point. We saw the zone here in the focus area. Let's see if what is selected. It's selected zone. Let's see the autofocus area. Now it's bigger, but you can see that here I'm turning. One turn, nothing happens. One turn, it's wide. It got wider. One more turn, one more, nothing. Here we have it, nothing. So it has some like dead turns, which you turn the wheel but nothing happens, which is not the best experience in my book. Let's go back there and then turn it back to single point and then see the focus area. Yes. So first time I saw, so single point, this is the biggest single point you can have, and this is the smallest one. With the zone, you already saw them, so this is all for that. Then release or focus priority, you can select here, should you want to prioritize to have priority for the focus or the release. I usually set it to focus, but it's different setting for single point and continuous, not single point, but single autofocus or continuous. Right now I have turned it the continuous to release priority, because other ways you can, if you use some of the continuous drive modes, you will not be able to make as many pictures as you need for the continuous, and the autofocus being slow enough. I don't know, maybe I haven't tested it extensively, so I'm not quite sure about that, but you have that setting and you can try it for yourself should you get that camera. Then instant autofocus setting. This is whether it is a single or continuous. You have it on the front dial, so I don't see a reason why it's present here in the menu. Then autofocus and manual focus. It could be on or off. it's usually a good idea when you use an autofocus lens. I have the Vutrox 23 millimeters 1.4, which is a pretty good lens. It's a bit front heavy on that body, but it's usable. It's not so bad. Then we have face detection, which surprisingly for the age of the camera works. It's not fast enough, and the face should be fairly visible for it to work. For example, I'm now on my Panasonic. It's tracking the face, not only the face but the head. If I turn around, the head remains in focus, but with this camera it will not be the same. So let's see what are the other settings. We have eye detection, autofocus. So these are additional settings for the eye detect. Well, actually this is eye detect and the previous was face detect. So here you have auto, right eye priority, left eye priority, or off. So if it's on off, I suppose it will try to focus somewhere on the face, but if you have a face, usually you want the focus to be on one of the eyes. So maybe I should stick it to auto. Then pre-autofocus, it's on. I suppose, let's see if we have additional information here. It's only for back. On my Panasonic camera, if I press the display button, but here the display button is combined with back, and when you're in the menu, when you hit it, you go back and you cannot see like additional information for the menu option. And on the Panasonic, there are two separate buttons, and when I press display, I see like an explanation of the display settings. And on this Fujifilm, I'm not sure how it is on the other ones, but on some settings, I think you need some kind of explanation, or you need to read the menu. But I don't know who likes to read menus. Then autofocus illuminator. This is maybe the autofocus light. This one here. I always keep that setting on off because I don't want to bother the people which I'm shooting to see so many lights, because they get stressed and then the pictures are worse. So let's turn that off. Okay. Going back, so I'll keep that in manual because my picking won't work if it's on single or continuous, and it will only work when I'm in manual. So after the autofocus settings, we have the ISO. Let's see what we have here. We have all the ISO settings and one low, which you can turn on. And we have 3 auto ISO settings in which you can change the default sensitivity, the maximum, and the minimum shutter speed. As you see back here in the bottom part of the screen, you have a sneak peek of the settings. I usually have one auto setting to 800, one to 1600, and one to 6400 as a max. If I want the cleanest pictures, I use the auto one. Then if it's, for example, getting dark or something like that, I keep it to auto. And then if it's dark outside, if I'm outside or inside, I use the auto 3. But I have assigned the ISO setting here on the the front dial. So when I press it, you see that these are the exactly same settings which we had in the menu. So there is no need to use that menu if you have set this one. Let's see the image size. Image size is, the iPhone has some hard time focusing here. So image quality, we have aspect ratios and the size of the image, which is L is for large. You can see in the bottom of the screen, and you can see how many megapixel is it. So the largest one is, the biggest one is 16 megapixel, which is 3 by 2. If we go to the 16 by 9, it's 14 megapixel. You can see that it crops in the height only, so the width remains same. Then if we have 1 by 1, it is cropping both vertical and horizontal. No, it's cropping only vertical. Horizontal. Yeah. Then middle is 7 megapixel and small is 4, about 3 to 4. It depends on the aspect ratio. This is all here. We go back, then image quality could be fine, normal, fine plus raw, normal plus raw, and raw only. I usually shoot in fine plus raw. For some time I just keep it to JPEGs only. So these fine and normal, these are only for JPEGs. And then if we have raw, this means that we have a JPEG plus raw, JPEG plus raw, and then just a raw without a JPEG. Okay, we stick to fine. Then let's see the dynamic range. We have auto, then dynamic range 100%, 200%, and 400%. The sensor, I cannot say that it's like amazing in the terms of nowadays. It depends on your like creative vision. Do you want more dynamic range, but suffering some noise in the shadows, or you prefer it lower? I'm not sure about the highlights. I think that the highlights are like not the best in this camera, but this is at least my non-professional opinion about that. The next point in the menu is film simulations. Here you can select between all the film simulations which are available for that camera, which are Provia, Velvia, Astia, Classic Chrome, Pro Negative High, Pro Negative Standard, Monochrome, Monochrome with yellow filter, with red filter, and with green filter, and then sepia, which I don't know who uses. I'm yet to see somebody filming with shooting pictures or filming with this. Okay, going back. Next, we are on page 2. Then we have self-timer, which could be set 2 seconds, 10 seconds, or off. Next is interval time shooting, for which I need to insert an SD card, so I cannot show it right now. Then we have white balance settings, we have auto, we have custom, we have manual selection of Kelvin temperature, which I will show you not in a bit. Let's see them right now, the additional settings. So first, with auto, we can go right. You can see the arrow on the right. We can go right and then select the custom setting. Well, while shooting on the Fujifilm, I usually do it for leisure, not for like exact representations of the color. So for leisure, I prefer a bit more red and then a bit less blue. So I keep it usually the reds on 1 or 2 positive, and then the blue between 1 and 5 negative. But let's keep it now. Let's keep it now on the base setting. Now, custom. We're going right. So shutter, new white balance. OK is to shift, and back is not change. What does it mean? So we have a white spot here. I'm using the shutter. You can see the rectangle, the white rectangle, and whatever the white is in the white rectangle, the camera will use it as a base white, or I don't know how it's called. Okay, so we have it completed. Okay, for set. So we have a new white balance. Okay, let's go back to the menu. Then we have the cabin temperatures. If we press right, we select the temperatures. What I do not like is that they're jumping. The jumps are quite big. They're between 200 and 300 degrees. Some of them are closer, like here we have a jump of 100, but if I go back to the higher settings, you can see that we have 5,000, then 5,300, then 5,600, which I don't like. Okay, let's go back to see the other settings. So we have here sunny, which I don't know why it says fine, like for fine weather, which is very strange. I think that any weather could be fine. Well, maybe without storms, but storms have their own charm as well. And then we have shade, fluorescent lights, 3 settings for fluorescent lights. I'm not sure why you need that. I much rather prefer to have cloudy, because here you have sunny, you have shade, but then there is no setting for cloudy weather. We have incandescent and underwater, which is very, very interesting. I mean, maybe just 0.001% of the people using this camera would use it underwater, but for them, it's good that they have it. Then, let's see the other settings. This is color. So, we have here high, medium, medium, high, high, medium, low, and low. And the 0 is for medium. These corrections, which has 2 steps up and 2 steps down, they are available for several of the settings of the picture, like color, sharpness. Here I'm on soft. Then highlight tone. Again, 5 settings. Shadow tone. Noise reduction. Again, 5 settings. Then long exposure noise reduction. This has only on or off. Lens modulation optimizer. I'm not sure what that is. And for it to work, obviously you need to have a like automatic lens. So you have the electric contacts and the camera knows which lens is being used, so it can like optimize it in some way. Then we have select custom setting. We have 7 slots for the so-called Fujifilm film recipes, from which I use only 2, which I like. Then if we go to the first setting, actually you cannot see, you can only select the setting here, and then the next menu item is edit and save custom setting, and then we can go and see what my film setting is. It would be very nice if you can name every setting, because you cannot do this on that camera, or at least I don't see how. I remember that I saw on a video that on some of the newer cameras you can do that, but it's not the case here. So you can change the ISO, the dynamic range, the film simulation, which is used for a base, then white balance, color, sharpness, highlight tone, shadow tone, noise reduction, and that's it. And then you can reset. These are all the settings that you can save in a recipe. Then mount adapter setting. Because I'm now using a 25mm lens, I have set it to 25mm lens. Focal length, we can set the focal length, the distortion correction, overshading correction, peripheral illumination correction, which I cannot select currently. Maybe with adapter with electrical contacts you can set it on some cameras, but this is just a hypothesis. I'm not sure about that. And here you can see that you can select the focal length. I will not change it now because my lens is 25. Going back, shoot without lens. You should have that selected if you want to use a manual lens without electrical contacts. It's as simple as that. If it's on off, the camera won't recognize your lens. So it is the first thing you should do when you buy a camera. If you buy the camera with just a manual lens and you mount the lens and then you see that the camera's not working, don't freak out. Just come here and select on that setting. Then menu focus assists. This is an interesting menu. We can have standard. I will show you what standard is. Let's again use my Dell monitor logo there. So for the standard you don't have any assistance, but you can still use the zoom in option. So you see that, and hopefully you see that it's usable like that. That's, yeah. Okay, let's go back there. Then we have digital split image. Okay, so when I use it without the zooming option, it's hard for me. When I zoom it in, I cannot say that it's way easier than the standard option, so I don't find it very helpful, to be fair. Actually, this picture turned out to be more blurry than the previous one. Then focus peak highlights, focus peaking options here. You can select between white peaking, red peaking, and blue peaking with low or high setting. What I found out is that white is not very usable for me, because a lot of things are white and it's hard using it. Red and blue are better. I usually use red because I like it better. It's more easy to be seen. And then on high setting, what I don't like is like you not only have red, but you have white as well. So there is white peaking and a red peaking in the middle. I'll use my lens here so you can see that, or you can't see, I'm not sure. This is my favorite lens for the Panasonic full frame system. It's 50mm 1.8. Okay, let's go back to the menu. These are all the options here. There is nothing else. Then autofocus, auto exposure, lock mode. Then let's continue. Autofocus lock mode, which is grayed out now. We cannot select because we don't have autofocus lens currently on the camera. Photometry is something which I don't know why they call it like that, maybe to be more poetical, but it's just the metering modes. Multi, spot, and average. I usually set it on multi and then use the exposure correction dial. On newer cameras, it's working way better than on older cameras, but still it's good to have it. If you want to use spot, average, I usually don't use. Let's go back to multi. Then interlock, spot, auto exposure, and focus area is on. Then flash setup. We have flash mode. We have several flash modes: forced flash, second curtain, commander, and suppressed flash. Then we have flash compensation, which can compensate to +2 or -2 with increments of 1/3. And then we have a red eye removal, which could be just on or off. Movie setup. These 4 options are all the options for movies, for videos. So we have best setting for video, or maybe not best, but like the highest is Full HD at 60 frames per second. Then we have the same for 50, 30, 25, and 24. And then we have regular HD. Again, the same settings. And that's it. So I usually use it when I shoot videos at all, because it's not often. On Full HD 50 FPS because I live in a power region, so I usually use 25 or 50, not 24 or 60, so I leave it on 50. Then movie ISO, it could be auto, or you can set it manually between 400 and 6400. Then mic level adjustment. We have 4 positions here. This is the internal microphone. There is a connector for remote, which I know on some Fujis can be used for microphone, but I'm not sure if it will be working here. So then mic remote release, mic and it's the set. It's just that setting. So you could use this port for microphone, but keep in mind that it's 2.5, it's not 3.5, so you need some kind of adapter to use your microphone. But yes, you can have a microphone, which is very good. The main downside of the camera, apart from the codecs, because the video it's not good in image quality terms, but the other main drawback of the camera is that there is no stabilization in the body, and then videos are very shaky if you haven't stabilized the camera on a tripod or something like that. So you're forced to use stabilized lenses for video, and that's it. That's it for that. Let's go down. So we have bracket and advanced setting. These settings is for this dial here. We have two selections for bracket 1 and bracket 2, which is very nice, and then we have advanced 1 or 2. So this settings is for setting up these buttons, these dial positions. Let's go and see. As you can see, bracket 1, bracket 2, then advanced filter 1, advanced filter 2. They're here on the dial. Then for bracket 1 setting, you can select, so these are options either for bracket 1 and bracket 2, they're the same. So we'll see them here and then go back and go ahead to the advanced filter setting. So what types of bracketing can we make? So exposure bracketing, ISO bracketing, film simulation bracketing, dynamic range bracketing, and white balance bracketing. Film simulation bracketing is something which I like a lot. And I don't like that I cannot do that on my Panasonics. Maybe this is one of the settings which I miss the most on the Panasonic bodies. After that, auto exposure bracketing. What is the step here? ISO bracketing as well, film simulation bracketing, and white balance. So here you change the setting on between the second and the fifth step in this menu. You select the settings of every type of bracketing, and then here you select which type do you use: auto exposure, ISO, film simulation, dynamic range, or white balance. If we go to film simulation, you can select 3 different simulations, and if the dial is set on the corresponding position, for example bracket 1, the 3 film simulations which are selected on bracket 1 will be used, and you have 3 files. So in the advanced filter setting, you just select one of the filters which are predefined in the camera, and that's it. There are no additional things to set up here. High key, low key, dynamic tone, soft focus, partial color, several different colors here for the partial, and then toy camera, miniature, pop color, and that's it. I usually set this to high and low key. These are the settings which I prefer here. Then we have image stabilization mode, which is off. This is the second position. It is off because we don't have a lens with stabilization, and then the camera doesn't have as well, so we cannot change anything here. Wireless communication. If we go here, you can see these are the here in this menu you connect your Fujifilm to mobile phone or a tablet. You see here my tablet is selected because I have paired it with it. Let's go back to the menu. We have a aperture setting. Then we have shutter type. You can select only mechanical, electronic, or mechanical plus electronic. This camera, the fastest mechanical shutter speed is 1/4000, and the electronic shutter you can have 1/32,000. So I usually keep it on mechanical plus electronic, because if it's below 4000, it is mechanical. But then if the light is the conditions are such that there is so much light that it's not fast enough, then the electronic shutter kicks in, and then you can have the picture. For example, in bright sunny day, you want to shoot at 2 or 2.8 or even 4 sometimes. Okay, so this was all the settings in the shooting menu. Now let's see the setup menu. So first thing is date and time, not very interesting. Time difference, local, home and local, so you can have two time slots. Then language, I will not go over the languages because I'm not sure if the camera is exactly the same for all regions in the world. So if, for example, we browse here and you see that your language is not here, but there is a chance that there is another version of the camera for those regions. Then we have reset, which I will not do because I may reset the camera, but it's obvious that we should have reset. Then sound and flash off. Sound and flash off, you can do this quick setting here, which is awesome. Then sound setup, let's see, operational volume, shutter volume, which is off, operational is also off. I don't like some beeps. Then shutter sound, you can select from several shutter sounds. This shutter sound is, I believe, for the electronic shutter, because the mechanical shutter has its own mechanical sound. Then playback volume, this is the only thing which is like useful for me, at least here. You have 10 settings, which is you have a scale of 10, which is awesome. And that's it for the sound. Then let's see screen setup, image display. So how quickly the image is shown after you shot a picture. It could be completely off, half a second, or a second and a half, and then continues. Auto rotate displays, I keep on. Preview, exposure in manual mode, I keep this on because it's useful for me. Then the viewfinder brightness, viewfinder color, maybe I should go to see, it could be manual. Check the finder, okay, I'll not do that now. Color, and then LCD brightness, LCD color, then preview picture effect, framing guideline. You can select grid f9, 24, or HD framing, which could be useful because now you know if you hit the movie record button, which is the only way you can record movie on this camera, you know what are your frame lines. Here you can see this line here, and then this line here, just above the settings. Okay, let's go back to the menu. We were somewhere, screen setup, okay. Framing guideline, this is the setting we just made. Then auto rotate, PB, I have no clue what that is. I haven't checked it out, and actually I don't have interest to do it. Focus check, on or off. Focus scale units I keep in meters because this is the system which I'm familiar with. Display custom settings. Let's see. So this is what information is visible on the display in shooting mode. So we have as well distance indicator, histogram, shooting mode, focus mode. A lot of options. You can pause the video if you want to check for a specific one. I think that we have seen them all. Okay, let's go back now. We are now on the second setup screen here. Now you have button dial settings. Okay, now so in this menu we have 5 positions: function settings, selector button setting, edit save quick menu. The quick menu is this button here. Then command dial settings, the back one and the front one, and auto exposure lock and autofocus lock buttons, which are these 2 buttons. Now we will see the first position, which is for function settings. And here you can see all the buttons which could be set as a function buttons with overlay on the camera, which is very useful. For example, button number 2 is actually the dial which could be pressed in. Function button number 1 is the button for movie recording, and so on and so on. I will select one of them, for example this one, so you can see what could be selected as a custom button, and it's the same for the rest of them. I will just scroll them. This is the beginning. I will scroll them until I think that we have them all now. Yeah. Okay, so these are all the functions which you can assign to a function button. Now let's go to a selector button setting, function button or focus area. This is the D-pad here. So you can use these buttons as function buttons or directly to select focus areas. I use them for function buttons. Edit and save quick menu. Here you can edit your quick menu. I will go in one of the settings so you can see what you can assign here. I'm not sure that they are the same as for the function buttons. Here it's from the very beginning. Okay, I'll cancel it now. Going back. Then we have command dial setting. So you can select whether you want the aperture to be changed with the back dial or the front dial, and respectively the shutter speed. It's actually there are 2 settings: shutter speed in the front and aperture in the back, or the other way around. Then we have the auto exposure lock and auto focus lock buttons. Then we have focus ring. So the focus ring can be clockwise or counterclockwise. We have power management, auto power off. You can set it on off 2 minutes or 5 minutes. let's keep it on 2 minutes. Then high performance, on or off. When you have it on high performance, it's something like you have clocked your processor. So everything in the camera works faster, but it drains more battery. So if you want to be cautious with the battery, or you don't have spare batteries and so on when you're going out, you can keep it on low power mode. But if you want the performance to be as good as it could be, keep it on high. Sensor cleaning, it can be when switched on or when switched off. I prefer it on switching off because I don't have a lag when I want to shoot something fast. So, and when I'm switching the camera off, I have plenty of time, so I don't need the camera then. Then save data setup, frame number, continuous or renew, save work message, edit file name. So if you use sRGB or Adobe RGB, yeah, file names could be okay, they could be different. I haven't touched that, it doesn't interest me. Then color space, here you select sRGB or Adobe RGB or sRGB. As far as I know, Adobe RGB has a bit more depth, so I use that. Not that I can see the difference. Connection setting, wireless settings, PC autosave settings, geotagging setting, and in-text. This is for the Fujifilm printers. Wireless settings, general, resize image for smartphone, PC autosave settings. Let's see the first one. Name, reset wireless settings. This is where you enter the actual settings. Then resize for smartphone, you can turn it on or off. PC autosave settings, delete registered destination PC owner, and we cannot set anything here. Maybe we need to be connected. PC auto save settings, simple setup, menu setup, setup connection to destination PC. I'm not sure what is it some kind of tethering? Maybe it is. If it's tethering, that's good. I like tethering. Actually, I'm shooting tethered right now with my Lumix, which I like about it. Okay, let's go back to the connection settings, geotagging setup, geotagging information, on or off. But the wireless network should be used, and then when connected to a smartphone, you can automatically, the pictures will be automatically geotagged, as far as I know, or at least this is how my Lumix works, so I suppose it's the same. Okay, and for the Instax, this is the way to connect the printer. Going forward, so connection settings, so we are ready with the second setup page, and on the third page it's just the format of the SD card. I don't have an SD card currently, so this is why the option is grayed out, but if you have it, you can just go there and format the card. That's it. Okay, so this was the menu of the Fuji X-T10. It's a great little camera with which you can have a lot of fun, or even you can use it for work. There are a lot of scenarios for which it will be more than enough. Maybe not the most demanding ones, but it depends on what you do. Not everybody is a wedding photographer or a sports photographer, so there is no point of having the best all the time. So if you have additional questions, post them in the comments, because I don't know for how long I will be keeping this camera. If you have some questions which I can answer, I would love to do it. So yeah, see you soon.